Welcome, dreamers. We hope everyone's having a happy Friday. To recap Wednesday's video, we built a golden mansion, a mini mansion of polished gold. We showcased some of my two favorite resources, black brick and polished gold, and made a mini mansion, you know, kind of under the city of Elysium where a lot of player builds are. It wasn't on a super large scale, but I still think that we did, you know, a pretty cool job mixing different resources and coming out with a pretty cool design for the base. Before we talk about today's topic, though, just a reminder that DreamWorld is available for purchase in early access. Head to the description, there'll be a link to DreamWorld's website where you can go and either download the free trial, we know you can play before you pay for the game, or you can buy the game if you like what you play in the free trial, or if you like what you see in today's video. Again, link in the description, go check that out. Let's talk about today's topic though. So today we'll be covering building again. However, we'll be talking about building on a small scale. When we made that, you know, mountain cave base, which showcased the different sort of themed building assets, we talked about how you could enlarge building pieces. By using more raw resources, we're able to increase the size of some build pieces, such as the front gate of the build where we, you know, made a massive front door. Well, today, we'll be looking at how to micro build in DreamWorld. Now, when I say micro building, what do I mean? I mean basically building on a small scale. We're gonna see how small you can actually build in DreamWorld, but let's talk about some of the advantages of doing so. Well, first of all, the smaller, you know, the build pieces, the less resources it's gonna consume. So you can get away with using a lot of build pieces and not having to farm as much. It also allows for you to make some cool miniature designs, which could be an intended effect, you know, for like an actual build. Maybe you wanna make a mini metropolis city. Or you could, you know, use the miniature designs to design a big build before you go and farm all your resources. So let's say I want to build a massive castle, but I want to get the actual layout of it before I go and farm, you know, thousands of stone. I can make a mini castle, you know, which will give me an idea for how I want the layout to be. And that's what we're going to do today. Today, we'll be building a miniature castle, a micro build castle. The purpose of this is to get, you know, not only the design, you know, of a castle down if I want to actually eventually build one, but I also want to showcase, you know, how this works. How do you make micro builds in DreamWorld? We're going to be building this castle out of mountain stone. Luckily for us, we farmed a bunch of that in the last video to make our black brick. So using that leftover mountain stone, it's about around 1,000 of it, you know, because like I said, the building, when you build micro, it doesn't require that many resources. We can use that one stack of stone to make the entire build today. But first, let's get to leveling the ground out. We're gonna build this micro build right next to the build we made last time. I already like this spot. It has plenty of space. It's relatively flat, so I won't have to do a lot of flattening of the ground. You know the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So since we have some more space, I'll build the micro castle here. Now that we have the ground, you know, flattened, let's decrease the asset size to -5. This is the smallest I could go, and we're gonna make the entire build out of mountain stones. Let's make sure to select that. And now let's get the foundations down. We're gonna go with, you know, a rectangular base for, you know, the build. The interior of the build's gonna be rectangular. And then when we finish that, we're gonna add a couple of towers onto the outsides of the build. towers are all down, let's add a front entryway with, a staircase going up. We can't enter the base. It's, the doors will be too small, but it's still a good idea to, act like we can to get, the build to feel complete in case I do want to make this in a life-size version, later on. I'll now add a couple more towers around the outside of the build. I have the materials and the space to do so why not? Let's now add the doors onto the front of the build, and we're gonna start constructing the outside of the towers. We're first just gonna get, the outer walls put up, and then we'll go from there. Now that all the outer walls of the towers are all constructed, we can move to the interior parts of the tower. For now, we're just gonna do one layer of interior walls with a door in the middle of each tower to make sure there's an entryway into each tower. Okay, now we're gonna put the cylindrical staircases inside of the towers. This is why we left the space open in the inside of the towers. We'll use the exterior walls of the towers as a snap point for the, staircases. And then once we finish the staircases, we'll then put up the interior walls of these towers. And there we go. We have all of the staircases in place. This is how I would have it, you know, even in the larger scale build. Those towers gonna go up to the roof. I'm now gonna put some window frames down on the, you know, outer walls of the build. This way we have, you know, a way to kind of look in and out of the castle when it's all done. And along with putting up all the window frames, I'm also going to seal off the outer walls of the castle, you know, get all that completely constructed. And there you go. All of the outer walls of the castle are completed. I'm liking it. I think it's looking pretty good. I think if this was regular size, it'd be pretty cool looking. Next, we're gonna start putting the, you know, flooring down on the top of the towers. We're gonna do 2 cylindrical floor pieces on each side of where the cylindrical staircases end on each tower. But we're gonna leave the middle, you know, section where the staircase comes up through the towers open. I want that open because that's gonna be the space where someone would walk through to, you know, go up into the tower. Now that we have everything that we can do with the towers done, we will now put the interior walls of each tower in. I would have done it earlier, but I wanted enough space to, you know, be able to go in and out of the towers and finish constructing them. So now that we're done, I'll finish them up. Right as we finished our towers, it turned to nighttime, so I gotta put some torches down so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going for the brightest possible light I can here, so I'm gonna use birch seed torches. They give off a nice bright white light, which is perfect for what I need to see what I'm doing. We're now gonna go and fill in all of the flooring for the top of each tower. We're gonna put build pieces up here so that you can actually, you know, walk onto them, and then we're gonna eventually have an exit to each tower onto the roof, which we're gonna build in a bit. I'm also gonna put some pillars around these towers for decorative effect, but also for another reason that you'll see in a second. We're gonna be putting roofing over all these pillars, so we wanna have decoration that blends well with roofing pieces, and I like the pillars. I think they do that pretty well. Okay, the pillars are on. Let's put the doors of each tower on now. These are going to be the entry points onto the roof that we're going to put on in a little bit. Now let's fill in the rest of the gaps between the pillars to make an enclosed room on the top of each tower. We're going to use cylindrical walls to do this. Okay, so the towers are finally done, but now we're gonna need a ceiling to cover the interior of the castle as well as provide a roof for you to walk on. So let's start making that right now. We're not exactly done with the interior, so I'm not gonna finish the ceiling yet, but I'm gonna make sure that there's at least a platform up there for me to walk around on if I wanna do more building up there. And we have a little bit more building to do on the roof. Now that the ceiling is up on the top of the castle, we can finally get to putting the roofing on each tower. We're gonna create a dome on top of each of them using cylindrical roof pieces. All right, back to the interior of the castle. Now, I didn't want to just leave this wide open. I figured the build was, too small to really add any furniture pieces, at this point. I figure if I want to make this build life-size, I'll then worry about the furniture, but for now, I just want to do some simple interior decorating. I want to make 2 levels to the build, so we're going to do that, but first of all, let's add some decorations to the downstairs of the castle. I want it to be mostly open concept, so I'm going to use, just a couple walls portioned around, and then also put some pillars going all the way up to the top. Those tall pillars are going to make the hall of the castle feel really large, when you make the life-size version of this. Let's also get started on the second floor. I'm just going to do a couple, simple staircase pieces that will lead up there. The second floor is just going to be a platform that, doesn't completely take up the entire space of the interior. It's not going to be as big as the first floor, but it'll be substantially big. Let's finish this up by putting some fences down to make sure, you don't fall off the edges of this level. At this size, there's no falling off of taking damage of anything, but, remember, we're building this to, envision it in a large scale. Okay, now that everything inside the build is done, we can finally completely seal up the top ceiling of the castle. Our next step is to create a stone parapet, you know, like we want the top of the castle to feel like it has like a defensive wall, you know, the kind of blocky type of wall on like the top of each castle. We want to recreate that. So I'm just going to use block shapes that are, you know, textured with mountain stone, and we're going to position them all around the top of the wall. And just like that, we have a micro build of a stone castle. We built this on the smallest scale we possibly could, so the build doesn't really look that big. It couldn't actually house an actual person, but on a large scale, which we might recreate in a later video, this would be a towering castle with lots of different, you know, rooms and different areas to explore. We'd add some, you know, windows to the towers. You could see out like along the lands of DreamWorld. Ooh, this would be a build to see. That's a little bit about how you can micro build on as small of a scale as possible in DreamWorld. You know, it's cost effective and you can, you know, use it to plan out future build projects at a low cost. Just a little bit of an idea, a little tip for building, you know. Some people like to, like me, sometimes I like to build out stuff, you know, get an idea, generic idea of what I'm gonna do like, you know, a test build and then do the actual thing later on with, you know, after farming for a while later. Thank you all so much for watching this Friday's video though. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one. We hope you're all excited for the weekend, dreamers, and we hope to see you on Saturday's video tomorrow. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.